Morning, everybody. If you were wondering what the Rocketeer would drive after he got divorced and had to sell his rocket pack to pay for her lawyers, I think this would be it, because it's a Chrysler Crossfire 05 track car. Didn't even know that existed, but I'm pretty glad it does. This is Theo. Theo, thank you for driving up.
Thanks.
And bringing this car today. I know we had a little problem with the road. Super unique car. So Theo hit me up by sending me his Wheelwell link. This is how you need to submit a car if you want to have it featured on the One Take. So Wheelwell is our sponsor for the One Takes. They are, a mix of like Amazon shopping, Facebook, and your favorite car forum. So you can go and build a Wheelwell Garage page. You put up photos of your car, the different mods you've used, mods you've put on, videos of the car, and then if you want to go shop for parts, you can punch them into their search bar. They have a huge inventory of stuff. They have a great selection of everything. And like if I had a Crossfire, I could go to his page and click on one of the suspension links or the intake link or something like that, and it would take me to the one that fits my car. It's really, really handy. So check that out. And if you punch in code TST, you get 15% off your purchase. And car parts are expensive, so I think that's pretty good. Okay. How and why?
Well, so this is my first car. I always wanted one of these. When I was younger, I saw these and I thought they were something crazy like a Bentley or something like that. And then once I started looking for a first car, I realized that these are actually pretty cheap. They're in my price range, they have good horsepower, and they're unique. And I really like that about it. I just like having a unique car. And you never see anybody else modifying these.
I mean, you barely see any of them, period.
Yeah.
I've never seen one modified. I've never seen one at a track that I can remember. I mean, this is a pretty serious track build, like we'll get into. Yeah, I like your style. You saw when you were younger. I saw these when I was like 19. And I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It had some, interesting design elements. It had the strakes on the side and the vents. I mean, it was a bold move. The back looks a little bit like a boat that's been tipped over, but I think the rest of it's an interesting car. It just didn't, it was expensive when it was new. It didn't sell that well. I mean, this was the SRT6 was $45,000 in 05 money, which is like 60 grand today.
Yeah.
So you could have bought a base Vet, you could have bought an M3. They had some other problems, which we'll get into on the beginning of our drive. Real quick, what have you done to this? There's a lot of it, but give us the overall.
It has full racing suspension from with Coney racing shocks and ground control springs. It has a bunch of stuff done to the engine: intake, tune, exhaust, a full exhaust, headers, muffler from MagnaFlow. It's got wider wheels and tires, sticky R compound tires, paddle shifters from an SLS.
You got little aero bits on it.
There's aero stuff on it.
Like an under tray in the back.
Yeah.
Front splitter. Coolant expansion tank in the back. I mean, it's pretty serious. Like you're building it to take to the track and drive hard reliably.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
All right. So for people that don't know, this was built during the Chrysler Daimler collaboration, we'll call it. And this car was 80% SLK 32 AMG. But if you sit in here, especially with the Karmann you added on the dash, it's like 95% SLK. The shell on the outside obviously looks different, but sitting in here, all like these silver buttons, this stuff just is right out of Mercedes.
Yep.
Wow. You can hear a little percolating. All right. It's like we have a coffee maker with us. Ooh, steering very light. That's right. It's recirculating ball steering. Okay. Your horsepower now is 400?
Should be around 400 at the wheels, yeah.
400 wheel horsepower. And the car's 3,200 pounds, roughly. I mean, you've taken some stuff out, you put some stuff in, so it's probably like 3,200.
Yeah.
Okay. First impressions. Pretty stiff. I mean, it's made for the track. This road is, this tarmac is smooth, but it definitely has some little bumps hidden underneath it. Rolls over nicely and then sets. Steering feel doesn't really exist. Again, it's the recirculating ball setup.
Yeah.
I think the last car I drove with a recirculating ball was a Mustang 2. I think. I'm sure it's been used before or since then, but it's basically regarded as the second worst kind of steering next to a steering box from the 60s. It's such a shame that this combination only came with an automatic. I mean, that's just what Mercedes, did, and I mean, they do. Like, they don't really... Wow, do they make anything with a manual? Probably not for this country.
Yeah, probably not.
Yep, sounds like a 350Z. Wow, the cornering is really easy.
Yeah.
I mean, being in a fixed seat really helps. Your turn-in is nice and eager.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and just one thing that's great about these cars is, especially on the track, when you're exiting a corner, you can get on the gas really early.
What's your red line?
It's at what?
6? I mean,
Six,
it shows
yeah.
6. Okay. It kind of like, it shifted earlier than I was expecting.
Yeah.
But the momentum is so good. The steering feels not great, but I can feel the tires through the seat pretty good. I think, is that what you use to gauge your traction on the track more than the wheel? Like, if you understeer on the track, does the wheel get light, or do you not really know? You just go, hey, I'm not turning as much as I want to.
Yeah, it's more like I just don't turn as much as I want to.
This was a weird car when they made it. It was, I don't know, they did like a combination of a GT and a sports car, and they kind of, if you try to do too many things, none of them go particularly well. And I'm not talking about your car is like now committed to the sports side. But when they first made this, you could get the base engine with 215 horsepower V6 with a manual. But if you got the good one, which was this, which has a supercharged V6 with 330 horsepower, it only came with an automatic. Yeah. And then they made the suspension stiffer on the SRT6. The brakes were bigger. So it was set up for performance. But because it's a short wheelbase, the 94-inch wheelbase car, it doesn't ride that great. The driver is really close to the axle, so stiff suspension plus short wheelbase, shorter than a 240SX, like it's gonna, pogo and seesaw like over expansion joints and stuff. Your chassis setup is, what shocks are on this, or suspension?
It's got Coney Racing shocks.
Coney Racing shocks.
And ground control springs.
And square stance or staggered?
What was that?
Square stance or staggered?
Oh, it's staggered.
Okay.
Yeah. They've got 235 tires in the front and 295s in the rear. They're Toyo Proxys R888Rs.
Yeah, you have some pretty serious rubber on this car.
Yeah.
It's got a good stance to it. It's got a nice rake. Wow, this is at the risk of insulting you, this is so much more fun than I expected, only because you said Crossfire. But
yeah, exactly.
When you sent me your page, your Wheelwell Garage, I was like, I mean, this is obviously a pretty serious car.
Yeah.
We're just gonna turn around. Uh-oh. Well, if they're spraying water, I hope that doesn't mean things caught on fire.
Hopefully not.
Sounds like we picked up a rock, maybe a little.
Yeah, I hear that.
Okay, so what is broken on this car? It's a Chrysler plus a Mercedes, and I think a lot of people are just all wondering on the edge of their seat, like.
Yeah. So I mean, not really much has broken. I mean, when I first got the car, before I started modifying it, I just took it to the Chrysler dealership and had them do all the routine service. So, they replaced ball joints, the engine mounts, that kind of stuff, But aside from that, it's really just been issues with adding aftermarket stuff. And, yeah.
I mean, you're adding new complication to a car. In some cases... Hold on. I can't tell if the gearing is tall or short. Maybe, it started in third, that's why. Okay. How's your shifting speed? I mean,
it's all right.
Yeah.
I haven't got the transmission tune on this car yet, but that will change it so that it's full manual mode.
Yeah, that was, I remember even driving the R171 SLK, which replaced the the R170 was the supercharged V6 that basically handed all its parts down to the Crossfire.
Yeah.
And then the next one was the SLK 55 with a V8. And I drove that at a track, and I just remember the transmission being very slow. I mean, this is nothing new for people that know Mercedes stuff for a long time. The transmissions were strong. I mean, that's why they could use the same 5-speed like in this and an SLR, McLaren, or the SLR.
Yeah.
But they're lazy. You know, they're just lazy. Any electronics issues? Any HVAC issues?
No, it's been pretty good in terms of all that stuff.
That's awesome. I can't believe this is your first car, because it's, I mean, even out of the box, it's powerful. It's like almost 350 horsepower. Mercedes took 20 away when they gave the engine to Chrysler, because the SLK came with 350, and then they gave it to Chrysler and they gave them 330.
Right. Yeah.
But so that's a good amount of power. Not that heavy, because for the time, I mean, that's a pretty good weight for by today's standards.
Yeah.
And you know, it's an eager thing with the setup you have. First car. Did you drive it to school ever?
I did, yeah. I did when I was finishing up high school, in my senior year.
How many? Because how old are you?
I'm 19. I'm almost 20.
Okay, so this car came out when you were 5.
Yeah.
Wow, that kind of makes sense, because I don't know, when you're 5, like you're an open book, you're a sponge. You're like, what looks cool? And
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
If someone goes, well, you know, listen here, Theo, that was made during a partnership with Daimler and Chrysler, and you're like, I don't care, I'm 5. That looks cool.
Yeah.
And it just kind of sticks. And then you've taken something that people wouldn't expect could really perform, and you've turned it into something that's like a dedicated track car.
Yeah.
And what cars do you keep up with on the track? And which track?
My dad's Lotus Evora 400 on Auto Club Speedway and Chuckwalla. He was a little faster than me at Buttonwillow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, BMWs. But I mean, also just depends on who's driving the car.
Of course. Depends on who's driving the other car and this car. But the fact that it's in that company, and you said you've only been doing track days for 2 years.
Yeah.
So let's say if you were like a novice medium person at the track, and there's another person novice medium with a Lotus or an M3 or something like that, and if you're hanging, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, this car is lighter. I bring it up too much. This is like the same power and weight as like a Z4 M Coupe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, for perspective, people. All right, we're gonna see how it feels a little bit here.
All right.
Second gear. That's funny. There's an upshift you hear, and then another upshift you feel. There's a little delay between, and I heard it shift, but then I didn't feel the forward thrust, like that little gap in the gear for about half a second.
Yeah.
And the nose really turns in, like we're mid-corner, and if I just touch it a little bit, this rack is quicker than I thought it would be, given the car's age. Again, I mean, the cornering, I'm sure this can corner at much higher speeds. I'm not going to find them.
Right, yeah.
Really responsive to just the slightest throttle lift. Sending a little weight forward, it tucks it in. Nice even power band. Superchargers are so great.
Yeah, they are.
Their power, I really like that it kind of keeps things feeling NA. But, the supercharger added 100 pounds to this engine, or the car, and gave you 115 more horsepower.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is a lot. A lot. Basically 50% from base. Let's see what downshifts are like. Downshifts like sending a letter.
Yeah.
So like, I think it has to wait for you to get to a really happy RPM. What's it like on the track when you're coming in hot and trying to go down like 1 gear, 2 gears?
It's a little slow, but I mean, it's manageable.
You slow down with the brakes mostly anyway,
Yeah.
right? I mean, at track speeds, you really are doing most of your slowing with the brake pedal. It shatters around a little bit, but it doesn't feel like it's skimming on the tarmac. It feels planted. We're just feeling the vibrations, which is really good. Some people, their cars are so stiffly sprung, it feels like a rock skipping on water across the tarmac, and that can be very disconcerting if you're driving fast. You always feel like it's about to let go, even if it doesn't. This feels like it's really settled, and the damping feels really good. Okay, well, I think that is a pretty good amount of information on what a Chrysler Crossfire track car can be. I know we didn't drive that fast for that long because there's people trying to go to work and whatnot.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, I can't think of anything I would really discover. It handles great. It does feel like a short wheelbase car. You know, it's a little longer than a Miata, and it moves around like really eagerly.
Yeah.
Which is fun. Not great for like a grand touring car, which they were hoping this would be, but for a track car,
yeah, it's great.
it's a good time. And I don't know, props to you for like having a pretty unique solution to the what should be my first car and track car problem.
Thank you.
You know, it's pretty cool. You're like, no, everyone's gonna get a Civic or a Vet or a GTO or whatever, or a Mustang, and you can like, what about this? I mean, you probably had to put some parts and work into it. That's hard to find. Like you said, finding parts is really difficult.
Yeah, that's right.
That makes sense. I mean, how many calls do you think like Mercedes or Chrysler got? Like, yeah, I'm trying to turn my SLK into a track car.
Yeah, never.
Just like, wrong number. Click. All right, man. Well, thank you for bringing this car up. You put a lot of work into it. I know it was a bear to get here today.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it. I'm just really surprised, pleasantly surprised, and excited to be in something so unique. Really, like really, really cool.
Thank you.
It's really fun and weird, and like the Chrysler Crossfire track car. Find another one. I think it'll be a challenge. Man, I can't remember what to say anymore. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Stuff like this is why this job is fun, because people have really unique things, and I like driving the solutions everyone thinks of, because that's a really good experience as well. Honda Civic, BMWs, Mustangs, whatever. But I think this show has always been a good reminder. Like, there's a lot of cars out there. You can do a lot of stuff with them. You can do things people wouldn't expect. You can turn a Ferrari into a donk if you want, or a truck. Like, there's people swapping all kinds of stuff, and it's a really, really cool time to be into cars, because everyone can get so much information. Like, you might have just shown someone that has a Crossfire, like, oh, there's parts for that? I can bolt stuff on? Oh, I've been driving this thing in stock form for a really long time. So that's why this show is really fun. So again, if you want to submit a car for a one take, just send me your Wheelwell Garage. I'm going to put the submission link in the description. You just click it, and you'll type in your name, your email, where you're located, and your Wheelwell Garage link, and I'll go check it out. Cars in California are more likely to be driven, because traveling is very, very expensive. Yeah, and again, my brain is so fried. Okay, I have to cut that and again, Wheelwell is our sponsor for the one takes. That's why you have to submit through them, and please go check them out, because it is a really cool thing. Instead of bombarding your Facebook with a bunch of photos of your project car, and a lot of your family doesn't care, this is a place that's just for car enthusiasts. Okay, it's part Amazon, part Facebook, and part forum. You know, you can go there, build your garage page, meet friends that have a similar car, share parts, and then again, you can buy parts with a 15% off discount if you punch in code TST. So I know that's a lot of information, but it'll save you money. $1,000, 15% off, saves you $150. I know that's simple math, but I don't know. 15 sounds small. 150 does not. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for watching and sending cars like this. Thank you, Theo, and we'll see you guys later. Man, I got all